Can we start Brian Thomas in 2025? It feels like this season is a wash. Let's talk about it in this video. Now, this man was on my team for about like 4 weeks. I traded for him when he was in a slump early on. He cursed my team, right? I'm out of the playoffs. I am cooked. And maybe you are too if you have him, but maybe you're lucky enough to have like enough depth where you can just bench him during, most of the season. But most likely you're playing for the toilet bowl, man. But either way, let's talk about it in this video. This week he gets Indianapolis. Last week, he goes 3 targets, only 2 for 28. He does have that huge block where Jacoby Myers is able to get like a 60-yard reception from it. So he's out there. He looks confident. He looks like he's motivated. He's like dapping people up after every play. He's just being like a locker room guy, right? A locker room presence. We love to see that at least. It looks like he kind of fell out of favor with the coaching staff. Let's talk about Jacoby Myers. He comes to this team, I believe, week 10. And ever since then, increasing snap share, 44%, 65, 84, 92, and an increasing production to go with it. Culminating in 18 fantasy points, 6 for 90 and a touchdown. 60 yards comes from that one catch that Brian Thomas blocks for him. They play Indianapolis this week. Let's talk about it, man. We have a 47.5 over under, and the Colts are actually favorites, 1.5. So it's kind of a pick 'em. It's really close. It's going to be a tight game. Divisional game, good over under, very important for both teams, right? Like this could kind of determine who wins this division, and even the Texans are still there. So the problem is that they actually have an embarrassment of riches now. They have too many pass catching options, essentially. They got Thomas, Myers, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange coming in and being like their number one pass catcher at this point. Well, 1 out of the 2 weeks since he came back. And when we look at underdogs higher, lower on receiving yards for this week, it's just like essentially a Vegas line for how many yards they're going to get. Fucking Adonai Mitchell has more yards than him, man. So he's absolutely down bad. It's probably the worst value he's going to have, right? And I think this could remain the rest of the season. But this week specifically, we need to talk. I want to show you guys this little chart. This is from PFF. It's just the zone versus man coverage report. We see that Indianapolis actually plays man coverage, the 10th highest in the NFL, 28%. Everybody plays mostly zone. So that's actually like a pretty high amount of man that they play. And when we look at the chart on who performs against man, we see that Brian Thomas actually has one of the better like yards per target ratios, right? We see like only 4 receptions, right? But for 113 yards, 0.29 fantasy points per route run. Now, I want to say this, man. Brian Thomas, notoriously, going back to last year, he's a man beater. Struggles against zone, struggles, in the middle of the field, as we know from this season. The dude was getting absolutely blasted every week. He was scared to catch the ball. He's got the heebie-jeebies, right? But this week specifically, against Indianapolis, who plays a lot of man, this is going to actually be a game where Brian Thomas pops up a little bit, man. When we look at receiving versus scheme on PFF, we see his PFF grades are decent, right? 2.13 yards per out run was something I thought was interesting. That's essentially just a nice little stat that shows us when they're out there running routes, how many yards do they get per route? And then you can kind of correlate that to fantasy production. It's just a nice little stat that we use in the fantasy football space. And we see he's got a 95.8 PFF grade too. So that means he's like, I would say above average. I mean, 2.0 yards per out run or higher is pretty good for a wide receiver. But keep in mind, he's kind of a low volume guy because he's the deep threat. He's the outside wide receiver. So he's got to hit on some of those outside balls. I think he could do it against Indianapolis. But rest of the season, guys, I'm worried, dude. The Jets have actually been decent defensively, even though they traded their whole fucking team for like a washing machine. The Denver Broncos, absolutely horrendous matchup, especially for outside receivers like Brian Thomas. And then Indianapolis, that can go either way, right? We got Indianapolis again. Basically, week 14 is going to tell us whether the week 17 Indy game is going to be decent. Now, Brian Thomas is somebody, unfortunately, I don't want to start him every week, just like a set it and forget it player, but choose the matchups, right? So you maybe sit him against Denver, maybe start him against Jets, because I would say that the Jets have improved defensively, but they're still not like a good defense. And then that week 17 against Indy, that's the joker. Now, the moment I hit publish on this video, a fucking shaman somewhere is going to put a curse on BTJ, and he's going to go for like 4 points this week, and then I'm going to look dumb. But I just want to say, I think, do a rain dance, sacrifice a goat or a gypsy, and I think Brian Thomas can probably produce this week. Don't hold me to it, guys, but I think I'll be starting him if I had him, because I'm gunning for that 11th place, man. If you got Brian Thomas, man, you're probably cooked either way. But that does it for the video, guys. Hope it helps, man. Hope it gives you a little bit of insight into Brian Thomas. Maybe gives you the confidence to start him or sit him, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.